Uh-oh. Wow, a lot of water, a lot of oil. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Sean, and in this video we'll be going through this Kobelco SK120 that I recently picked up. So this machine is the Mark IV SK120. So I picked this machine up off of a friend for $13,000. It's about 25,000 pounds or 12 tons, has 7,000 hours on it, and it was one of the only models that came with the 5.9 Cummins option. So this machine definitely needs a lot of love. Some loose pins that are pretty hogged out, some leaks out of the lift cylinders, and a coolant leak out of the thermostat housing. Some other things on the interior of the cab, the safety lever is not functional, so I'd like to get that running. A couple things with the wiring need to figure out, and of course just overall clean it up because there's a lot of old garbage and dirt and grime in this thing. Long term, I would like to change all the fluids and get the KDP checked on it just to make sure everything's good with that. It is plumbed for auxiliary hydraulics, so it would be nice to get a hydraulic thumb for it. So with all that, the first things first, let's get this thing cleaned out. That seems like the easy thing to do. Well, that wasn't too bad. So this compartment had a lot of dirt, mostly an extra tooth. Probably ended up with 30 pounds of dirt, bolts, random stuff. This wasn't too bad. Extra coolant in here. There was a couple other things. Definitely gonna have to change a few of these filters too as I go through this thing. Got the cab looking a lot better. Definitely not perfect, but there was probably about 2 inches of dirt and grime caked to the bottom, so that's looking better. And then of course we had this back compartment here, had a bunch of dirt and extra bottles and stuff in it, so looking a lot better. And I think the next step, we're going to see what's going on with this ignition problem. Okay, so my problem in here is that whenever you go to start this, there's no power to the ignition. So I've already been troubleshooting this a little bit because it did work up until it got parked here, and then all of a sudden it stopped working, and I have no idea why. So there are lights to the gauge cluster here, and put the key in and we turn the ignition on. We get nothing. So there's nothing there. It's almost like a safety lockout, but the hydraulic lockout bar here hasn't worked for years. The guy said I bought off of him. I mean, I started it up and ran it when I tested it out before I bought it. He unloaded it from the trailer and it was fine, no problems, and all of a sudden the key stopped working for me. So it might be something dumb I'm doing, but it's hard to say. So I did put 24 volts to the starter wire here, and it fires right up, no problem. So there's just got to be something going on with one of these wires not getting the 24 volts from the battery. So let's see what we can get figured out. Well, I've been messing around with this wiring for 15 or 20 minutes now, and it is not looking good, guys. So there are tons of butt splices and switches cut, wires like that just hang out, going all over the place. This ignition wire, this ignition has, what is it, 6 wires going to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 black, a green, a white, red, and 2 white, it looks like. And if I put 24 volts to this top pin, it fires right up, no problem. Now, 2 of those wires come over here to the safety mechanism, which they had bypassed. So here's your switch for the safety mechanism, but it's bypassed together, and I thought that might have been the problem, but it looks like that was still tied together. And all the other wires for the ignition there, oops, are back here in this wire harness. So I've been trying to trace these wires out, see where they go, see which one gets power, but I'm not having much luck. So I could temporarily just run power straight to, from the battery here, my own wire to the ignition there, but I would like to fix this properly. I mean, you can see so many of these wires are like this, where it's just taped together. But I mean, this thing's 25 years old, so it's like, you know, everybody who's ever had this thing or had a problem just kind of ran wires or fixed it however they needed to, like this, whatever this power is going to. This is probably power for something in the cab. You can see it was just thrown in here. So I don't know, maybe I'll check some of these fuses. Maybe some of these fuses went bad, but that's my only other option right now, rather than just hot wiring it just like they did. So we'll see what we can do. Well, I traced my ignition wires back to that wiring harness, and it, of course, goes down through the floor there. Hard to reach without moving the seat, but I did see that there is an access panel right here where it looks like all those wires go. So I think what I have to do is get the machine rotated 90 degrees. That way I can work on that in between the tracks. So let's see if that'll help. So I have this power probe that I can basically just send 24 volts through this straight to the ignition there. So that's the only way I've been able to get it started so far, and I'm hoping to figure out this wiring problem soon. Okay, so you can hear it fires up great. I mean, it really is a good running machine, but that basically just gives me access to this panel. And of course I had to manually send 24 volts to the ignition on the key rather than using the key, which is a pain. So I think if I take these 5 bolts out, we should be able to see something in here where the wiring goes. All right, so this is a lot of hoses and wires going on, but the ones I'm interested in are right there, coming out of the floor. Hard to see, but there is a cluster of wires coming out of the floor there, and one of those should be our ignition, a couple grounds, and I don't know what else. We'll have to find a wiring diagram and see. And then those are likely going to go back here to the battery. Oh, I found the fuse cover. That's lucky. I was actually looking for this, so let's see if there's an ignition on here, because I was trying to check a few of the fuses. Key switch, F10, 20 amp. Okay. Must be like this. Key switch is this one. It's a 30 amp fuse. Actually should be a 20. Well, of course I didn't have a spare 20, but I was able to pull this one out of the windshield wiper motor. So just proof of concept here. So now that I have that 20 amp fuse back in there, hopefully I can find a spot for you guys to see this. That should mean that I have at least 24 volts on one of these pins. I think this is ground in the middle. 0.5, nothing. Overload, I wonder what that means. Oops, I had it set for 9 volt. Not 200 for 20 volts. So that must have been our 24 volts. 24 volts. Great. promising. So we are running off the key again, which is good news. The wires that I thought went to the kill switch for the hydraulics were actually the horn. I don't know if you guys could hear that going off, but it was either a horn or a warning buzzer, so I'm not sure on that yet, but we'll figure it out. But that's good news there. The next big thing will be tackling this coolant leak out of the thermostat housing, so that'll be pretty fun. At least we are already pretty familiar with that from the 5.9 Cummins in the old case loader. And then just a few leaks here and there, and we should be ready to get this thing to work. Well, it turned out to be a beautiful day today, so let's see if we can dive into this thermostat housing. So the guy I bought this off of said our thermostat housing was leaking, and I could see some fluid down there, some coolant. Looks like there's some RTV. This is where our thermostat housing is going to be. So let's see some RTV in here. So just going to get this top hose off, and there are 1, 2, 3 bolts, I believe, maybe 4, and then this lifting lug will actually come out with it. So let's get this off and we'll see what it looks like. Enough. Oh, not too bad. Okay, so I was able to put some boiling water on this thermostat, and it's a 180-degree thermostat, it says on the top there, and I had a rolling boil here, so should be able to see it open and close. It's pretty easy to see. Where it's open, you can see the big gap, and if I take it out, you can see where it says 82C there, about 180-degree thermostat. Now as I take it out and it cools down, that gap starts to close. So we have a good working thermostat, so I'm good with putting this back in. Easy check while it's out. Alright, well, I was able to get all this cleaned up pretty good. So got these surfaces looking a lot better, cleaner. But the one thing that still bothers me about this thermostat is that this edge, that actually from looking on mine goes, the tapered side goes into the thermostat housing here, and then the flat side goes up against the block. It's just pretty mangled. See, it's hard to tell on camera, but there's a bunch of wavy dents on this side. There's a little slit right here. So I don't necessarily think this is going to be a good gasket anymore. I mean, you can see looking at it from this side, there's like a big dent on the bottom here from just being either crimped wrong or something like that. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and try to get another gasket. Hopefully I don't have to get a whole new thermostat, but I'm definitely going to get another gasket if I can, and we'll get this thing back in here and we'll see if that gasket, thermostat gasket, makes a difference. Actually, you can see on here there's a little shoulder, like that little maybe 1/4 inch to 3/8 boss, so that would fit pretty nicely with this. So we'll get that gasket and we'll see if we can get this fixed. Well, after looking around for a while, I found that it was actually just as expensive to buy a new thermostat and a rubber gasket as buying just the gasket. So let's get this new gasket installed and we'll see how it looks after that. So this housing here, when I pulled it out, I'll have to look at the video. I'm not sure if I paid attention or not, but there is a little dimple here for on your thermostat, this little tab. So when you put this on, you line up that tab with there, and then the little shoulder on your gasket goes in like this. So hopefully that makes a good seat. I don't remember when I took this out if it was like that or not. And then of course your lifting lug slips on right over top of that. And then we get our bolts back in. Okay, well, it looks like we have our leak fixed now. I just had a slight leak with that upper radiator hose there going to the thermostat housing. My hose clamp wasn't quite tightening enough, and then of course when I went to tighten it more it broke, so went and got a new one. Looks like that leak's fixed. Definitely seems like it's not leaking from the block behind the thermostat housing, which was the original problem. So our next step on this, that swing reduction gear housing was a little bit low on oil, so let's get that drained out, filled up, and then we'll see how that looks after that. So while we wait for that to cool down and check our coolant again, this swing motor here, this swing reduction box or whatever they're calling it, was a little bit low on oil. So we go in here. I believe when I checked this when I first got it, was not even registering on the dipstick. Nothing. So I definitely want to get this changed because this is a pretty important component here. So there's a drain on the back, and according to the manual, this calls for 1.6 gallons of 30 weight, straight 30 weight oil. Okay, so we're under the machine now, and we have this pipe sticking out from that swing gear reduction motor, and it looks like we just have a small Allen key head, maybe 3/4 of an inch Allen key to get that drain out. So let's get this drained and see how much fluid we actually have in there. All right, let's see how much fluid's actually in there. Well, that's not really good. Like nothing coming out of this. So this is what we're dealing with here. We have a drain plug, and I mean it is thick. There's just nothing coming out. So I'm gonna throw a little bit of oil down in here and just see if it drains out. Make sure this is the right plug. But I mean there is nothing in this thing, and that's not really good at all. Well, I took a closer look at the manual. It did say there was a fill plug up here somewhere, so I had to take another look. Of course, on the cab side of this motor here, that little Allen head key, Allen head bolt is our fill plug. So had to do some digging, got to get a lot of mud out of the way, but I'm gonna take that out of there, see if we get some better flow. Well, it's starting to get dark now, and I've been messing with this thing for a little while, and I'm concerned that the seal at the bottom of the reduction gear here for the swing motor is bad, because I've put probably a gallon of oil and diesel down there, and really very little is coming out of the drain plug, and there's nothing showing up on the dipstick, so it has to be going somewhere. So my current plan is I'm going to fill it up with the 30 weight oil that I got to transfer it, and then I have the drain plug back in as well, and we'll check it again tomorrow. So I'll let it warm up tomorrow, do some spinning maybe, and hopefully we can have something on the dipstick here, get it nice and warm, and then flush the system, and then put another 1.5 gallons of 30 weight oil in it. So I'm gonna get this filled up. We'll see if it actually registers on the dipstick, and we'll go from there. All right guys, so quick update on the Excavator swing motor here. So according to the manual, we have the swing pump unit here, swing motor unit here. This is our drain port that we drained out. It's our fill level on the top, and we have our inspection and filling port here. But there's nothing in there. So it looks like when you're checking the grease bath on the actual swing gear, there's this inspection cover on the top. And you can see down inside the actual swing gear itself to make sure it has grease. So I spent most of the time I had yesterday kind of cleaning out this whole bay here. So probably pulled 20 pounds of sticks and dirt out of there. And now you can actually see that inspection plate right there. Maybe it's hard to tell, but there's a little small inspection plate down there. You really only see, there it is, the 2 bolts there. There's still a lot of crud in here, but I was also able to find way underneath here. So going underneath the front of the excavator here and looking straight up, we have this plate right here, 2 bolts, and supposedly that's where you take the grease out if your grease goes bad. But what I'm thinking is, after talking to my one buddy, if I take this off, I should have all my oil and diesel fuel and who knows what else in there, if that lower seal on the swing motor is bad. So next step here, we're going to take this off and see if we can do it without getting too dirty. See if I can do this somewhat controlled. It's a 17mm bolt, so I don't get soaked here. A lot of water, a lot of oil, mostly water. Oh my gosh, there's so much water coming out. All water. There's some oil. Definitely water oil mix. Wow, is that terrible? Well, glad to be doing it now than fixing it later, I suppose. Okay, well, it's good we caught that now, even though it's not really good that that ran for who knows how long without any oil in there and all the other stuff in the casing. So, but you know, it is what it is. And the next step, we're going to clean up this housing some more and pull this swing motor out. Well, it's about as clean as it's going to get, so let's start getting these hoses off. Always like to stand back in case these are under some pressure. There we go. So I just started to feel the rain for tonight, so let me get this one off, get this covered, get back at this later this week. I think that should do. Okay, well, we'll get this finished up next time, hopefully. Well, I think I have all our hoses off this thing now, so just one more that goes here down behind this block and it connects up to this pump here. So I can either pull this out and unhook it there, or I could take this cover off, pull it out of the pump. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Seems like it'd be just as easy to lift this pump up and take it off the pump instead of taking off that cover, but we'll see. The next step is I'm going to take this top hydraulic portion of the housing off first. So it's just these Allen keys around the concentric circle down there, and then I'll take off the bigger piece way at the bottom with those giant socket head cap screws, and we'll see what I can actually get out of here. Oh boy, guys, this is not gonna be good. This is not gonna be good. It's a really tough spot. I'd love to get this top pump off of here first. There's a lot of junk in the way. So now you guys can feel my pain here. That's what I'm working with. Oh, these stocking head cap screws scare me, stripping out. I don't know how I would be able to weld a nut or anything on these guys. All right, well, there's one down. Got some movement. This is the clearance I'm working with here. It's probably an inch or so. Definitely makes it difficult. Before I can order these other hoses before I get a good push on it. All right, next step, we get the skid steer down here, get this thing hooked up. We'll take off the drain tube on the bottom so we're not fighting that coming out. Well, I guess this is just the top part coming out for now. And yeah, we'll get this thing up out of here. Definitely can't move it at this point yet. Ugh. So I don't know what's still holding it on there. Might just be a gasket or some kind of sealant, but yeah, we'll get these bolts out of here and get this thing moving. All right, so here's what we're dealing with now. So we have our planetary system here. It looks like it came off the bottom there. And I have to get this back in. Looks like this went down in here. And then this guy right at the top. There's your planetary system. And then there's a shaft on the other one that went down through to mesh with these planetary gears here. So now I have a little bit more room. I will be taking these bigger bolts out, these bigger socket head cap screws. At least I can see them now. This was the hard part before. And of course, this is the tank or the housing that takes that 1.5 gallons of 30 weight oil. So check out that other piece. So here's our upper hydraulic set. So it went in perspective here, like this is how we've been looking at it, where this side, I believe, yeah, this side was up against the cab. This was our dipstick on the side towards us. So we have, flip it over here, our one bolt that doesn't come out because of this guy. And of course, here's our gear here, or our output shaft that turns those sun gears in there, or those planetary gears in the one we were just looking at. Also have our dipstick here. So it looks like our fluid level basically comes right up against this surface. So there was no gasket here, but the bottom of our dipstick should basically be touching this. So it looks like if you overfill it, it'll be coming out between these two surfaces, but we shouldn't have to worry about that. So it was pretty easy to get out. There was this little ledge right here. I was able to get a screwdriver underneath that. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. Looks like it would be. But I was able to get a screwdriver under that. Yeah, there's one on the other side too. And just pry up on it until it was able to come out. So with that, I'm gonna start working on these bigger socket head cap screws. Hopefully they come out with no problems, but at least I can reach them. And once I have the bolts out and cleaned, I'm a little bit more confident putting them back in with some thread locker. So I'll probably put these two halves back together out of the machine and then put it back in as all one unit, which I think we might bring the excavator over for a smaller mini excavator, because I barely had enough reach on the Bobcat with the forks, and it was also very difficult to see what I was doing and line everything up. So I know it would be almost impossible with the skid steer. So, but we'll get to that when we get to it. For now, let's get this lower half out. So before I lose it, I did see this guy had fallen down whenever we were pulling that out. So it looked like that shaft, that output shaft on that upper portion was a little bit small. So this piece interfaces with these guys, and then we'll just have to line up that upper shaft with that. So no problem, easy peasy. So if I remember right, these were 17 millimeter. And hopefully they can break loose. These are some big boys. Not a lot of room here. Oh boy. Come on. I need it longer. Oh. 2 down. Okay. Going for a 5-foot bar this time. About as big of a cheater bar as I have. Oh boy. It's heavy. Oh my. Woo. Loctite on. All right, we'll clean up and get this lower unit out of here. Okay, so I just have this held in with these 2 of these upper bolts we had originally. Should be able to pull this lower unit out, and it looks like I'll be just in time to beat the rain here. All right, well guys, that's a wrap. I'm pretty exhausted after those couple bolts. Took a lot out of me, but we do have the unit out now, the swing unit. So we have it just down there on our pallet. We have quite the mess to clean up down here. It looks pretty terrible, but I'll scrape all this out, get it all cleaned up. So wanted to check our swing gear down here. There's like the rubber seal there, and it's kind of heaved up a little bit. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or what. I mean, it's supposed to be just a grease bath in here, so it's not the worst thing ever. It's mostly just keeping some dust and dirt and grime out of there. So we'll get this all cleaned up, make sure that's looking right. What really I was actually planning on changing, my thought while all our oil was leaking out of this housing here, is there's going to be a seal behind this plate right here. So there's another dozen socket head cap screws here. Let's see if I can get this over here without tipping all my other gears out. And this is the seal that I wanted to change. So I can see there's a little metal piece here that's already blown out. Oh yeah, this seal's shot. I can see it's completely torn right here on this side. Yeah, it just looks like it blew out, something happened, but that's the seal we're gonna get, and should be quick replacement now that it's out, and of course then we'll put it back in. But I think I'm going to end this one here, since that was a little bit more effort than I expected just to get this little pump out. And I guess you guys will have to check out the next video where I'm going to replace the seal and get this thing back inside the excavator. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching.